we love talking about celebrity peeps in the news. Why? Because we are celebrity trolls? No. Because we're auditioning for a spot in that little boardroom with the TMZ? Probably not. Why? Because it's relatable, right? We all know ourselves some Brangelina, and we all know that those crew have picked a fight with themselves and their pack of wolves and have been kind of a little headline in the news. And if that's something that you may or may not know a little bit about, then let's use that as a referent to be able to draw some conclusions from. And in order to do that, I'm flanked by two-time reigning champion Ronza Rafo, back in the house. What's happening, girl?
Good morning, San Diego. Good morning, Jesse. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Appreciate you having back in the hot seat and helping us kind of sort through some of this stuff. So, by the way, update, flash, if you're getting your news here on ESPN, I feel sorry for you. But if I got you within this earshot, apparently there's been a new development, in the whole Brangelina thing. Just this morning I saw on the news that Brad Pitt was apparently accused of, was it child abuse?
Yeah, child abuse.
Of some form. I don't even really know the depth of which, but apparently he was exonerated today, so all you Brad Pitt fans can go back and resume your normal lives. The election wasn't that big of a deal. This was the cliffhanger people were hating for, or working for. So, but let's kind of dig a little deeper. So, Truth Radio is where we tell the truth. What's the ugly truth, though, about people playing dirty and taking advantage of certain things?
Okay, so we're talking about custody and visitation with your children, right?
Right.
And just like we mentioned last time, a lot of people figure out that, they can use their kids, or they try to use their kids as a pawn to whatever grudge they have against their ex, or trying to get more child support, whatever the case may be. Or
quite effectively, we might add, right? Because
Right.
perception, a lot of times, is causal.
Right, absolutely. So people figure out that there's certain remedies in court that they tend to take advantage of. First of all, do not use your child as a pawn. The only thing you're doing is destroying your child, and they will forever remember it. But allegations of child abuse. So like Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, right? She accused him of, being very rough with their children. And
so it was physical then?
According to, I don't know, I don't live with them, but according to inside sources.
Oh, okay.
She said that he was getting rough with their 15-year-old Maddox, the adopted son, which, personally, he's 15. He's, it's that age where you have the attitude, and I'd probably get physical with my 15-year-old too if she gave me some bad lip, but no. So in her situation, if she goes forward and says, he was abusing our children or he was getting rough with them, the court is zero tolerance for child abuse. Absolutely zero tolerance. A lot of people make false allegations. In Angelina's case, right? Let's say the allegations they really did happen. It's not hard to get the case started. All you have to do is either tell the police or tell a therapist, because we have mandatory reporters in California, right? So if I tell my doctor or my therapist that, something happened at my house, or a teacher, they're obligated to report it.
Yeah, and CWS is right around the corner, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. It's so easy for CWS to get involved.
And which, by the way, is what?
Child Welfare Services.
Right.
So it's easy to get the ball rolling. As soon as, something happened at the Jolie Pitt residence, the cops find out, there's a police report filed, and the ball starts rolling right away. The cops don't ask you if it actually happened. They take notes, they file a report, and then you go to court.
They're not judge, jury.
Right. A lot of people take advantage of this. So they claim that, their child was abused. But my argument is always like, you were living together for how many years? Did he all of a sudden just start abusing the children? And you have to be careful with CPS and CWS, because you run the risk of making yourself look bad. If you're saying that Brad Pitt has been abusing the children all these years, you're going to get in trouble too, because you just sat back and watched it all happen and did absolutely nothing.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
So complicit.
Right. So you risk the children being taken away from not just Brad Pitt, but you as well.
Well, you could probably easily throw in the accusation, well, then I was abused too.
Well, that comes up too. The domestic violence argument, right?
Right. Scared to say anything or do anything because he had me in his,
Right. And judges have zero tolerance for false allegations of child abuse. Like, if you're going to come forward and make an allegation like that, you better have something to corroborate it.
I'm so glad to hear that, too, because all you seem to hear is how things like these can be so easily manipulated, and the sort of the dumbing down of the common sense rule that it's just like it's like a common vein that's spread all the way through all these proceedings that you hear sort of in retrospect. So that's nice to hear that too, because, if you don't have that in place, then it just becomes a free for all. And a lot of people think it's already a free for all. Would you not agree?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, the stuff that goes on in the courtroom is unbelievable. The allegations that people make, not just about child abuse, like you hit your child, but sexual child abuse, child molestation, against the child's own father. It's unbelievable. And again, where were you all these years that you claim, why didn't you do anything? It just happened. It just started overnight after you guys got separated. So, judges aren't dumb.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is all part of kind of the ugly truth, and I love how you're framing it that way. So what about like restraining orders? Isn't that sort of right down that line?
Same thing. It's actually now more than ever, it's a lot, I don't want to say easier, but it's not as hard to get a restraining order. In other words, before there had to be some actual physical threat or physical contact, whereas now it's just
like a black eye.
Social media, if I comment on, if I post a picture of something that can be threatening to you and it's directed at you, text messages, I can be threatening to you through a third person. I don't have to directly make the threat to you. I can say it to another person.
Interesting.
Right. So I see a problem with that because already parties are so quick to run to the court and say, oh, my gosh, I need safety. And they're going to use that, to build a history of, oh, this person's violent. And, oh, by the way, I should have the kids because, see, there's a restraining order. This person's violent.
Right, and that was I guess the point that I wanted to try to get to is the collateralization of this in the frame of people playing dirty so they can take advantage of the system, right? So what do you do if you're in that situation and to protect yourself when the other party has gone the offense and made those allegations and claims, there's a restraining order thing going on, and then you have to then take that and parlay it right into a custody battle? You're already under the line, aren't you? Aren't you already kind of working out of a deficit?
Right. Okay. So first, get an attorney. Absolutely get an attorney. A restraining order is not it's not like going over to the Department of Child Support Services and calculating some child support numbers. No, this is a restraining order, especially for service members, because then they have to forfeit their weapon, so it's on their record. It could affect their rank. Yeah. Absolutely not. Do not gamble. Just hire an attorney. So a restraining order, record keeping. A lot of the times you have, let's say, a woman coming out and saying, he's a threat to me. I'm going to file for a restraining order, a temporary restraining order until it becomes a permanent one, right? Because you have to go to a hearing for that.
Okay.
And then she'll be texting him like, hey, you want to bring over some diapers for the kids? So I advise that man in that situation to keep track of everything so that when they do go to the courtroom to show that this
Am I really a threat?
Right,
if she's
asking me to go over, sending me selfies, whatever the situation may be.
Right. Okay. So what I heard you say was the whole allegation of the child abuse stuff. So CWS,
right.
And then you've got the substance abuse as almost kind of like an amplifier into that, right? Because it's one thing if you're just like, hey, I'm scared of dude, or but if there's alcohol or drugs involved or stuff, that's a huge amplifier, is it not?
Absolutely. That in and of itself can be an issue.
Right. And then you've got the whole restraining order game. Dude, this is like a minefield to navigate.
Right.
Anything else?
Attorney's fees. In California.
Attorney's fees.
Right. In California, if you can show a disparity in income between the two parties, the other party can be required to pay for the So if we have a huge disparity in income, let's say you make $6,000 a month and I make $2,000, chances are you're probably going to have to pay for mine. And
pay for all the attorney fees?
No, not all of them. It's up to the judge. You have to show, certain factors. So a lot of people go in with a zero income and they seek attorney's fees and they will get them. And the ugly truth about that is that the people that are entitled to the attorney's fees are so quick to go to court and seek legal remedies. And the ones that know that they will be responsible and they might have to pay for the other party, they're hesitant to go pursue and seek legal relief.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
So what about like arbitration? Is that something that happens in these situations where you can go talk it out before you duke it out?
Yes, that's definitely in our next segment. We're going
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great. So maybe let's flip gears a little bit. So that's the ugly truth. Is there a pretty truth to this?
If I had to pick the one, the light at the end of the tunnel or a pretty truth, I would say it's don't panic that you're going to lose your children or the other parent's going to get full custody. And don't think that you will get full custody. That full custody, sole custody, it's really a misnomer, especially in California. It's very, very rare for a court to award full custody to one parent. And remember, like we discussed last time, there's two different kinds of custody.
Right.
Legal, who makes the decisions, physical, who the child lives with.
Right.
So,
and it's very rare that the legal is totally stripped, but the physical can easily be amalgamated, right?
Yeah, distributed. But
Right.
Very rare can you just lose your children and the other person gets full custody.
Right. Yeah. What do they base that on primarily? Is it like work? Availability for the kid? Like what do you see as the kind of the primary ladder there of how they determine the physical custody?
Well, there are a lot of factors, and we will go into them in further detail, but there's a variety of factors that we'll get into for sure.
Fantastic. Gang, that's why we got Ronza Rafo in the house. By the way, you can check her out in all of her glory over at rafolaw.com. That's RAFOLAW. And there's something that I understand you're doing just for Truth Nation also, in case they heard you here today and they want to mention the show and they want to maybe get some things clear for themselves. Isn't there something you're offering them?
Yes, if you go over to rafolaw.com and in the inquiry box, in the comment box, if you put in and mention Truth Radio or Jesse or anything about this segment, then you will receive a free 30-minute consultation where we will evaluate your case for you.
Fantastic. Gang, we're just getting warmed up here with Ronza, already headed off the beast of the Brangelinas. And as you just heard her say a second ago, getting now into best interests of the child, physical custody, visitation, all that good stuff. So, gang, coming up. Don't go anywhere. Be right back.